Welcome back to your daily dose of camera content, and the S1 Mark II is still back ordered, so today we're going to talk about what to buy instead. But before we get started, like this video, hit the subscribe button, and consider joining the channel. Channel members get exclusive access to Filmmaker Alchemy, behind the scenes lessons and insights on the business of video production. Learn how to turn your content into gold. Maybe you're super smart and you realized I'm talking about the S5II, and in this particular case, the S5IIX. That's right. I actually scooped up another S5II, in this case, the X variant, because right now the price was actually pretty good for used, and the used prices keep climbing. I don't know if you've noticed, but on the S5 Mark II and the S5IIX, as well as prices across the board, have continued to climb up. Now, you can associate that to whatever you want. I'm not here to say one way or the other, whether that's good, bad, or in between. If you have a bunch of used gear, hey, maybe you'll make a little bit of money. But regardless of all of that, I actually needed another full frame camera. Yes, I actually needed this. It was not just a, hey, for fun, let's go buy another camera. Needed a full frame camera. And the S1 Mark II still being back ordered means I'm sitting here waiting, thinking, okay, well, I need another camera. What's the best value? What's the best bang for the buck? And I'm going to say it for the 100th time, the S5 Mark II. You really can't go wrong. This is such a phenomenal camera. And there's lots of people out there to this day still scratching their head going, Lumix? Like Lumix? What's Lumix? Why would you want a Lumix? I get it. Sony, super popular. Canon, super popular. Nikon, very popular. And honestly, if you're in the market for a hybrid, Nikon probably does offer the most features in terms of just pure raw performance at the most affordable price. Yes, believe it or not, Nikon. I didn't think I'd ever be saying it, but when it comes to video specs, the Z6 Mark III, the Z8, they are all incredibly powerful. So if you're shooting Nikon, trust me, I hear you. I'm a believer too. The Nikon, the Z-mount stuff is really impressive. I've shot with the Z6 Mark III. I like it for what it is, but there's just some things about the Lumix cameras that I keep coming back to. Maybe it's bias, maybe it's comfort. I don't know, but I really like things like OpenGate, the way the menus work, the way the buttons are laid out. There's certain preferences I have, and I'm okay with that. But I hear you. Nikon is really good. Canon is certainly out there with their options. Even something like the C80 is super attractive to me. I want to make a video about the C80 because it does have so many of the things that I'm looking for. Internal NDs, mechanical NDs on I mean, the C80 is kind of interesting. It's one step above a hybrid. It still has this form factor, which I quite like. You'll find it's funny. A lot of people will buy cameras like this and then just rig them out into be full cinema cameras, at which point I'm wondering, why didn't you just buy the cinema camera? Why didn't you just get the Pixis? Why didn't you just get the Komodo? I like this body style because of the versatility. I can take a picture and I can record a video all in one. It is nice that you can rig it out. So there's that flexibility to it. But the C80 is interesting from Canon because it's like quite a bit bigger than this, but still the same relative shape. I kind of like it. I dig it. So I want to do a little bit more testing with the Canon C80. But for right now, if I have to buy something, I have to fit it into my current workflow, my current kit. It's all Lumix. It's all L-mount or Micro Four Thirds, depending on, they all kind of play nicely, shooting vlog for most of it. And so I thought, what better value than another C5 Mark IIX? Because you really can't go wrong. It has everything you would want and more. And the only downsides, the only drawbacks are easily worked around. People will call out things like the 4K 60 is cropped. There's a lot of full frame cameras that shoot 4K 60 and it's cropped. And cropping in is just another way to use the camera. There's some people who prefer to crop in and shoot Super 35. It'd be nice if it was full frame all the time, but that is a limitation I can work around. A limitation I can't work around is overheating. That's the other big kind of unspoken thing going on these days, is overheating. And whether these new S1, the Mark II, the S1R Mark II, whether they overheat, I don't know. I can't say. I haven't tested them myself. It's on back order, right? But it seems to be that there's certain people having issues with overheating. I really have to test it myself. But even across the marketplace, there's plenty of brands, cameras out there where the limitation is the overheating, and then none of the features are useful or valuable because it's blacked out. It's off. You got to wait. So The S5 Mark II, having some kind of thermal management, there are fans in here. I'll tell you, shooting in Phoenix, one of the hottest cities, certainly in the United States, maybe not the hottest, but one of the hottest, it's quite demanding. If you're filming outside, you need a camera that can keep up, that can do all the things, open gate, IBIS, autofocus, etc., and not blackout. That's what the S5 Mark II is for me, along with things like the GH7, certainly, or an older camera now, but the S1H. You're missing out on some of the newer autofocus technology if you're going that route. But the S5 Mark II is a great choice because I haven't had that problem. It doesn't overheat, at least not in any situation I've ever found myself in, on real shoots, in real production, doing actual work. There's other cameras that are good if you're only ever indoors, if you're in studio climate-controlled environments. But how reliable is that? There's a lot of times where even just for fun, you want to be outside, travel, vacation, I don't know, and you want a camera that just is going to stay on and isn't going to get too hot. And that's the S5 Mark II for me, along with all the other great bells and whistles that Lumix is known for. So that's why I picked the S5 Mark II. And I got the X version this time just to test out some of those additional capabilities, the B-RAW over HDMI, which you can do on the S5 Mark II. The way it works on the S5 Mark II, the original, the normal variant, the firmware was updated to where you can do the B-RAW over HDMI, but you still have to pay for it as like an unlock key. It's $200. So when you're weighing that out, I think just go with the X variant in general and get all of the features that come with the X variant, even though it's not really that much. You can still get by with an S5 Mark II. I certainly have and have not regretted it. The S5 Mark II, the S5 Mark II X, both of them are good. But if you want to test out B-RAW, which I did want to test out, so the video assist, I prefer the 5-inch size, and you do need the 12G model of the video assist. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm almost second guessing. I'm questioning if this is even a rabbit hole I want to go down, because on the video assist, it is SD cards only, which good or bad, I don't know. CFast, CF Express Type B, gosh, there's too many. Compact Flash, CF Express Type B is kind of the new standard. It seems to be going that way. CF Express Type A is the other variant, but it seems like Type B is winning for whatever reason. But they're getting hotter, so I don't know. But it's SD card only, and it's only one SD card. And that makes me wonder, what am I going to do for backup redundancy recording? One of my favorite features on the S5 Mark II is that there's 2 card slots. And yeah, they're SD cards, but I can make that work. SD cards are pretty universal. You can find them at Walmart, Best Buy, very easy to come by. So not a problem that it's SD cards. The transfer speeds later are a little bit slower, but that's fine. On the video assist, I'm wondering, only one SD card. How am I going to ensure that I have backups calculated? And I don't know if that's a risk I want to take on. I've never had a card corrupt, knock on wood. But let's say I did. Is B-RAW worth it? I don't know. At the end of the day, I wish B-RAW was just built into these cameras. That's the direction I hope Lumix will go. We've got ProRes RAW in the Lumix cameras. We've got ProRes internal. But Blackmagic still isn't playing nice with Lumix, letting them do internal. You can only do it over HDMI. And the other thing about the video assist is that it's kind of chunky. It's kind of heavy, this thing. So I don't know if that's going to be a solution I actually embrace moving forward. I like the idea of shooting B-RAW. I at least want to test it out and try it for myself. But if all my cameras aren't doing it, it really is kind of a one camera only solution, unless they all, let's see, the GH7 I think can do it off the top of my head. The S5II, you can pay to upgrade that one, so that one can do it. But there's other cameras, that, and every one of them you need the monitor, and then you're just going down to one SD card. So I don't know. There's a lot of people who swear by B-RAW, but, as I'm thinking through the workflow, what that means for myself, for a team, for projects, especially if it's like days and days of footage, multiple cameras, having redundancy, having backups is important. But I have to do a little bit more testing. Maybe like I can do it. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. I'm not wise enough at this point with my experience to know if I can record B-RAW externally and record internally more like standardized, H.264, H.265 backup internally. That would be nice if I can do that. Then it solves that problem. And then I just have to decide, do I want to invest in a bunch of video assists? It seems time for Blackmagic to refresh this design, give us maybe dual card slots, give us CF Express Type B. It does have the 2 battery slots on the back. I think I just prefer one, but I don't know. Maybe that's a weight thing for me. I don't know. I'm so used to the Hollyland as my preferred monitor right now. Going off on a tangent, but here we go. The Hollyland Mars M1 Enhanced. That is a really nice monitor, and it has wireless streaming from it. So you can beam what you're looking at to Video Village, to a client monitor, to an iPad, to an iPhone via the app, and it works remarkably well. You'd think it's a gimmick. You'd think, oh, that's going to be unreliable. It's going to crap out, and I promise you, it doesn't. It's actually really, really good. It's super impressive. You can have one monitor, the Hollyland Mars M1 Enhanced. I'll put a link to it in the description as well, because if you don't need B-RAW, get the Hollyland. It is the better way to go. It's lighter, I'm pretty sure, and it's just better. You still have the in and out. You don't have these like mini SDI connectors, but I don't know that I would even use those anyway. Regardless, sending video to Video Village, to an iPad, to an iPhone client monitor, that is probably far more valuable in the grand scheme of things than B-RAW. So always picking your poison, weighing pros and cons. And for me, Hollyland, that Mars M1 Enhanced, really, really nice monitor. 5-inch, 7-inch is too big. Stick with the 5-inch. It's not super power hungry. You can still get by on your standard batteries. And you solve so many video signal, running HDMI cords, dealing with massive like Teradek, bulky contraptions you're kind of strapping onto your camera. It's over there. That's why I keep looking over there, because I love it so much. The Hollyland Mars M1 Enhanced, truly not sponsored. It's a really good monitor, and you can send signal to multiple from one camera, one monitor, what you'd already be using anyway. You can beam wireless video to multiple destinations seamlessly. So we'll see. Maybe the B-RAW wins me over if there's, some notable quality improvement. But I think just as it comes, the S5 Mark II is a winner, aside from all the other bells and whistles you can strap onto it. So we'll see. Maybe the S1 Mark II is on my purchase list sometime in the future. The 24-60, that's on my short list. Also back ordered, but hopefully we'll be grabbing that at some point. But yeah, the S1 Mark II, we'll just have to wait and see. I need a little bit more information about these overheating, because everything I've seen from the testing, people trying it out, they're using like the default settings, which everyone knows now. You got to bump it up to high. You got to use the best thermal management modes in the menu. So optimizing the camera for heat is important. Make sure the menu settings allow you like to run it that way, and then test it in a real life scenario. I don't know. It just seems like the testing is not standardized, and everyone who's out there is saying like, oh, it never overheats. And then other people, it overheats after 5 minutes. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna have to like get my hands on one and use it to actually know myself. But I do know the S5 Mark II is rock solid. And that's why I would still, to this day, even in a world where the S1 Mark II is coming out, I would still recommend the S5. The S1, it's so confusing. The letters, the numbers, the Mark I, the S1 Mark II is coming. Still though, the S5 Mark II certainly has its place still to this day. And like I said, those used prices aren't falling like you might expect. There was a point in time, I think the cheapest I ever got my S5 Mark II was when I first bought it. It was like a year or two ago. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a while, and you'd think prices would keep going down, but they're not. They've kind of bottomed out and are now coming back up. There are discounts from time to time, sales, promotions. Lumix, does those things from time to time. I don't know. We'll see. It's a weird time. Prices going up. New stuff's coming out. All I know is that the S5 Mark II is like the best value in cameras, I think, hands down. There's other stuff out there. You might have your preference for different mounts. Again, Nikon people, I hear you. I know. But there's something about the Lumix S5 Mark II. Lumix just really hit it out of the park with this one. In the same way that they nailed it with the GH5, and they haven't quite done since. The S5 Mark II, still underrated to this day. Plenty of people going, what's that? Never heard of it. Why would you want that? It's a really good camera.